How many of you feel overwhelmed from this guy? Yeah, this is TV remote control. It is so complex, it has so many buttons that even till today, I don't know the purpose of at least half of the buttons on this remote. Most of us uses only 5-6 of the main buttons, everything else is just there. But usually there is always one guy in every home who knows how to use all of these buttons. We can call that person remote ninja. That person will come, he will open up some other feature from this remote and say, hey, this is very cool feature, try it out. So other than that person, everyone else uses only 5-6 buttons. Rest, everything is just there because 1% or 2% people would need to use those buttons or those functions. So our today's video is about the simplicity of design, and also how to explain something to other person by using simple words so that the other person can grasp the concept, grasp the information that you want to provide to other person. So let's move forward in the video with the same remote example. So if that was the complex remote, this is the simple remote. See what they did in this remote? 5-6 main buttons, and everything else they just summed it up in those 2 buttons, the settings and one other button. So for the remote ninja, that person anyways can click that one button and explore all the features in that button. So everyone else at home, it becomes much easier now to browse and use this remote control, especially for grandmother who only has 2 buttons on this remote which are useful for us. One is the plus minus for volume, and other one up and down for changing the channel, and then the power button, the red button, on and off. So now even she can see those buttons on this remote, and your remote ninja has that extra button which he can use. So this is a simple design. Now let's move forward and talk about one scientific experiment which was done with the flavors of a jam. Flavors of a jam and simplicity was the connection. So here it is. So there was a scientific experiment done where in a retail store in an aisle they placed 60 different flavors of jam and then tested how many people who walked through picked that jam. There was an offer on that jam. So only 3% people who walked that aisle picked at least one flavor of the jam. Whereas when they removed those 60 flavors and kept only 6 flavors of jam, 30% people actually bought the jam. So the logic says when you have more flavors, people will like it more. They will say, okay, there's so many flavors, let me pick one of the flavor. But no, that creates complexity. That creates decision fatigue. The person has to think multiple times, oh, if this is good or this is good or that is good, our son will like this, daughter will like this, that person will like this, our guest will like this. Too much of confusion, I'm not going to decide, let's move forward by something else. So simplicity improves conversion, simplicity improves the understanding of the concept. Moving further, the same could be applied to our understanding or engagement between 2 people. How? Let's pick a complex subject or a topic and see how we can explain or discuss it in simple words. Everyone has heard about artificial intelligence, AI. It's being used in a lot of programs nowadays. So one concept in artificial intelligence is reinforced learning. So what is reinforced learning? You teach the program to learn a certain task by reinforcing the learning, that is by rewarding the program when the program takes a positive step towards the progressive side, and by not rewarding the program when it takes wrong step or step that is not going to yield a progressive result. Complex definition. Now let's simplify it with the easy to understand example and a trimmed down version of it. So let's assume there are 4 kids in the home. Not 4 kids, 4 adults. So these 4 adults, mom, dad, uncle, and grandfather. So there's 4 kids, and then there are 4 adults. I'm not sure why I'm calling adults as kids. So 4 adults, and then there are 2 kids. And then you collect 8 other kids from the neighborhood, and now you want to see that to which adult these kids go to if they are not instructed to go to any particular adult. So you make them all stand in a big hall. So all kids are small kids, like 1 to 2 years of age. So they stand in the line, and on the other side maybe 40 steps away from them. These 4 adults are standing, and now these kids start moving. So you're not supposed to give any instruction. Like dad or mom is not going to say, hey, come, or uncle is not supposed to say, hey, come dude, we'll go out, have some fun. No, they just stand still, and these kids start walking randomly. So take few steps towards the adult, because that is your goal, because you want to learn to which adult they want to go. So their task is to reach the adult as fast as they can, and multiple times. But kids are kids. They take 3-4 steps, then they move somewhere else. Maybe they go out of the door. Some kid might go and fall asleep. They wake up, they start walking again. So you keep doing this experiment for the entire day. Now don't say me that kids will get tired if you make them do this experiment for the entire day. It's a theoretical experiment just for the sake of understanding. So when these kids keep doing the experiment, what you do is, whenever a kid takes 3 steps in the right direction, in the direction of the adult, you reward them with a chocolate. And when they take any step in any other direction, you don't give them any reward. So first time when a kid gets a chocolate, kid doesn't know why he or she got a chocolate, but just knows that, okay, I got a chocolate. I did something, I got a chocolate. But over the entire day, they take 7,000 steps, random steps, and then they start to recognize a pattern that when I take steps in certain direction, I get rewarded with a chocolate. And what that pattern is, I take these 3 steps and another 3 steps, another 3 steps, I run straight to this adult, I get a lot of chocolates. And when I come back again, I run again, I start getting a lot of chocolates. So 6 out of these 10 kids start understanding this pattern, and they start running to the adults in the straight line. So how you made them learn? By reinforced learning. So this is a reinforced learning model. There are a lot of other variables. We are just discussing the trimmed down version, and that is how programs learn. Let's say if you want to make a robot to learn how to play football. So this is how actually in a lot of games, online games, you make them learn how to play the football. There's a reinforced learning. So when they take the right step, they kick the ball, they are rewarded. When they move towards the ball, they're rewarded. When they move away or do something else, they are not rewarded. And reward for a robot who want to learn a football is not a chocolate, even giving a point, which they call weights, changing the weights accordingly. But we are getting complex, so our discussion today has to be on the simplicity. So simple, so you reward, give a point to the robot when they take the right step, and you don't reward when they take the wrong step. So by taking millions and millions of such steps, the robot starts to learn football. So in simple language, at least we understood a bit about reinforced learning. Now the question is, how will you know that when you're talking in the simple words and when you're talking in a complex words? So there's an objective way to understand this. And when there's objectivity, there's a math. So here is the math problem. Solve it in 3 seconds. Here it is, 17 times 24. What's the answer? Okay, I'll give you the answer. So this is the answer. So did you try to solve the problem? If you're very good at math or you use math in your day-to-day life, you may have answered it in your mind. But if you don't use math or multiplication in your day-to-day life, you may not have answered. You must have thought, oh, why do I answer? Anyways, he is going to give the answer in this video in few seconds. So why you gave up on this? Because while answering this, your mind faced little bit of stress. Just that stress was enough for you to give up on this problem. So this is the maximum amount of stress that the person is willing to give to participate in anything on a volunteer basis, where he's not going to get any instant reward. Unless you have to solve this problem to score grades in your school, you have to solve it. You will put an extra effort. But if you're not going to get any instant reward out of it, you're going to give up on answering this problem. So similarly, when you talk to someone, when you try to explain someone, you have to explain in a way that their mind doesn't get stressed beyond the level of what your mind got while answering 17 times 24. So if this is the parameter of complexity, what is the parameter of simplicity? Another math problem is going to come, but this time do not solve it, not even think the answer for this problem. So here is the problem. What you did? I said you don't answer it, but still your mind answered it. Why? Because 2 times 2. It's such an easy problem that you were not able to stop your subconscious mind to answer it. So this is how easy your product or your engagement or your talk or your words should be, where it's so easy for the person you're talking to that they can't even ignore it. And how you do that? Here is the tips part of this video. You have to understand the motivation of that person, what their day-to-day life is, the words, what they use in their regular work life or at their home. For some person, for mathematician, as I said, 17 times 24 might be very easy. But for the person who doesn't use a lot of math in their daily life, that is tough. Similarly, let's say for car mechanic, anything to do with repairing a car and parts is very easy. For them, it's like 2 times 2. So you explain them, let's say if you have to explain to a car mechanic about a computer program, you have to use the analogy of the car and the repair and its parts. If you have to explain it to maybe a person working in a retail store, you have to use the analogy of a retail store. And if you are thinking that some things are really complex, you cannot make them simple for other person to understand, ideally that means that you yourself yet don't know or haven't understood it completely. And we'll conclude this video with this quote: make things so simple that even a 6-year-old can understand. If you can't, then you still need to do some work and understanding more about that particular thing or task or work. So that was it for today's video. A lot of you liked my previous video about those 20 businesses. If you haven't watched it, watch it. See you next time with another interesting topic. Bye for now.